Every story has a beginning, and for Peter Parker, that beginning was nothing glamorous. He wasn't born a hero, wasn't blessed with fame, wealth, or popularity. He was just a skinny, awkward teenager from Queens, New York, a boy who always seemed invisible to the world, tripping over his own feet, left out of photographs, bullied by classmates, and mocked for his shy nature. Peter lived with his Uncle Ben and Aunt May, two ordinary yet loving people who raised him as their own. They gave him a home, values, and care, but even their love couldn't shield him from the loneliness of being different. And then there was Mary Jane Watson, the girl next door, the light of Peter's world. She was beautiful, kind, and full of dreams. Peter adored her from a distance, his heart bursting every time she smiled, but fear always tied his tongue. Mary Jane was like a star shining just out of reach, and Peter remained in her shadow, too shy to step closer. One morning, Peter's life took a turn that no one could have predicted. His class was on a field trip to a science laboratory, a place where genetic experiments were underway. The group wandered through rooms filled with bright lights, microscopes, and exotic creatures. Among the exhibits were specially designed spiders altered through science to possess new traits like strength, agility, and web spinning. While everyone else chatted and moved on, Peter lingered, fascinated. And then fate struck. A single genetically altered spider, disturbed from its enclosure, descended silently on a web strand. Before Peter even noticed, the spider bit his hand. Sharp, quick, almost insignificant. He flinched but thought little of it. Just a bite, nothing more. That night, however, his body betrayed him. Fever consumed him, sweat poured down, his head spun. He staggered into his room, collapsing on the floor. His aunt and uncle thought it was just exhaustion, but inside Peter, something incredible was happening. The spider's venom wasn't killing him, it was rewriting him. His very DNA was transforming. By morning, Peter Parker was no longer the weak boy who struggled to fit in. His eyesight sharpened to perfection. His once frail body had become lean, strong, and muscular. He discovered strength far beyond human limits, the ability to leap across rooftops, and a strange, tingling sense that warned him of danger before it struck. And then came the most astonishing gift of all. He could cling to walls and sling webs through mechanical shooters he later designed himself. Overnight, Peter Parker had been reborn into something extraordinary. At first, he embraced his new powers recklessly. In school, he humiliated his bully, Flash Thompson, with speed and strength no human could match. He tested his climbing ability on walls, rooftops, and skyscrapers, laughing as he swung between buildings with homemade webbing. For the first time in his life, Peter felt noticed, special, alive. But life has a way of teaching lessons the hard way. Eager to impress Mary Jane and earn some money, Peter joined a local wrestling match under the name The Amazing Spider-Man. He even stitched together a makeshift costume to hide his identity. When he won, the promoter cheated him out of his promised reward. Moments later, a thief robbed the promoter, and Peter, still bitter, let the criminal escape. "Not my problem," Peter muttered. He didn't know then that this choice would shatter his world. That very same thief, the one Peter allowed to flee, later confronted Uncle Ben during a carjacking. In the struggle, a gunshot echoed through the streets. By the time Peter arrived, his beloved uncle lay dying on the pavement. Peter held Ben's hand as his final breath slipped away. Grief tore through him like fire, but alongside it came guilt. His inaction had cost his uncle's life. The words Uncle Ben once told him came back to haunt him. With great power comes great responsibility. From that day forward, Peter vowed never again to stand aside. He donned a new red and blue suit, perfected his web shooters, and became the masked vigilante the city would come to know as Spider-Man. Swinging through the skyline, he stopped muggers, car thieves, and criminals of every kind. To the people, he was a symbol of hope. To the newspapers, especially editor J. Jonah Jameson, he was nothing more than a masked menace. But to Peter, he was fulfilling the promise he owed to his uncle. Yet every hero's story needs a villain, and for Spider-Man, that villain was already rising. Norman Osborn, the brilliant but troubled father of Peter's best friend Harry, was facing ruin. His company's military contracts were failing, and desperation pushed him into testing a dangerous, performance-enhancing serum on himself. The formula granted him superhuman strength, speed, and intellect, but it came with a terrible cost. It fractured his mind, birthing a new, darker persona, the Green Goblin. Armed with experimental weapons and a terrifying glider, Norman became a monster in both body and spirit. The Green Goblin wasted no time in unleashing chaos. He attacked a military demonstration, destroyed rival executives, and brought the city into fear. But when Spider-Man appeared to stop him, a rivalry was born. Their battles were fierce, with explosions lighting the skyline and New Yorkers caught in the crossfire. The Goblin, however, wasn't just after Spider-Man's life. He wanted to break his spirit. Discovering Peter's secret, Norman targeted the people closest to him. He taunted Spider-Man, whispering that heroes always lose the ones they love. His words soon turned into action. The final showdown came with horror. The Green Goblin kidnapped Mary Jane in a tram car full of innocent children, dangling them both high above the city. He forced Spider-Man into an impossible choice: save the woman he loved or save countless lives. But Peter, driven by heart and strength, refused to choose. With everything he had, he saved both Mary Jane and the children, earning the city's admiration as true cheers for Spider-Man filled the night. The Goblin fled with Peter in pursuit. Their brutal fight crashed through abandoned buildings, each blow fueled by rage and desperation. Bloodied and battered, Spider-Man fought not just for survival, but for the soul of the city. At last, Norman tried to impale him with his own glider, but Peter's reflexes turned the weapon back on its master. In one tragic instant, Norman Osborn was struck down not by Spider-Man's hand, but by his own madness. As Norman lay dying, he whispered a plea: "Don't tell Harry." Peter, torn with sorrow, respected his final request. But the secret would come at a terrible cost. At Norman's funeral, Harry Osborn swore vengeance on Spider-Man, vowing to kill the hero who had taken his father, never realizing his best friend Peter was the man behind the mask. And then there was Mary Jane. She finally confessed her feelings, admitting that she had always loved Peter. For a brief moment, Peter wanted nothing more than to tell her the truth, to hold her, to accept the love he had dreamed of his entire life. But he couldn't. Being Spider-Man meant sacrifice. It meant protecting her from the dangers that would never stop chasing him. So Peter smiled through his pain, turned away, and walked the lonely path destiny demanded. As the camera pulled away from the quiet cemetery, Peter's voice echoed the lesson carved into his soul. This is my gift. My curse, who am I? I'm Spider-Man. Thus began the legend of a hero who was never meant to be ordinary. A boy who lost everything but still chose to stand tall. A boy who became a man, and a man who became Spider-Man.